Hello everyone, good evening. Thank you so much, all the way from Holland, for joining us here in the Mac Pro live session. Now this is my very first time here and I'm so beyond excited to be here and to play around with makeup together with you all. So thank you so much for being here. Now tonight we are doing something really exciting. I'm going to showcase a new product to you, something that is really exciting. I've been able to try it out for the past couple of days, so I'm really excited to get to know you all. If you have any questions, please ask them, and yeah, let's get started. All right, so let me check one final thing for technical aspects. Let me see if that is all right. All right, yeah, it should work. Let's get started. Okay, so I've already prepped my skin. I have already done everything I could to be in the best shape possible tonight because I am coming to you butt naked. So let's get started with skin. Now, if I don't see you or see your chat message at the moment, there is someone, Louise, who is going to be answering some of the questions that I might be missing. So yeah, I'm gonna do my best. Let's get started on skin. Now, the very first product that I am going to use is one of my all-time favorites. I mean, this is the foundation that I was taught with. I was taught how to do a good base with face and body makeup. So let's remind you all what that looks like. Ooh, put in the B-roll. I am so excited. I have pre-shot all of the products that I am going to be using for today's masterclass. So I'm going in with C3. Now C3 is currently the best shade for me. I am quite tan for my normal skin tone. So I'm gonna go in with C3 and perhaps I need to dabble into a tiny bit of C2 just for the T-zone because I do like to shape with my foundation. So I'm gonna go in with the 128 brush, one of my favorites. So one of my friends actually works for MAC, so I always drop on over in Amsterdam if I have the opportunity to do so. And then he always points me towards the best products possible. So I'm just gonna go in and distribute the foundation with my brush, but I think I might just be tapping it in with my fingers like I do usually. But it just looks so much better with a brush on camera, doesn't it? So I've got a few red areas, and one of the reasons that I really love this foundation is that it gets rid of all of the redness in my skin tone. And that is why I usually go for the C shades and not the N shades, because I am quite neutral. So you'd think I could get away with a N shade, but 9 times out of 10 the C shades are my best buddies. So please let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to try my best to keep an eye on everything. I was supposed to have all of my chat messages in the bottom and they have disappeared today. So that's a downside, but oh well. Thank you, Louise, for putting that up there. Face and body is definitely not full coverage, but the beauty about this product is that it is buildable. So it really nicely seeps into the skin. It's very easy to blend. And then if you feel like you need some extra coverage in some areas, then you can just tap another layer over it. So it is a buildable foundation. So especially for the areas like right over here, you can see that with the first layer, I definitely haven't gotten rid of everything that I want to get rid of. But my preferred method is to go in with a light layer of foundation and then touch up with concealer wherever that's needed. But yeah, it's a buildable product. And that's why it's such a good one for your kit, because you can build it and you can transform it into something a little bit more covering. So I've got a nice couple of pimples right on my forehead. You know how that goes. There we go. So you definitely don't need a lot of this product. but I like to go in with a brush just to get it nicely distributed. I didn't prep with anything. I just used my regular skincare, and I'm gonna admit I used a little bit of the gold light on the high points already, so I would just look a teeny tiny bit more radiant on camera than I usually do. But no, I didn't prep with anything special, just a rich moisturizer. It's ridiculous. I keep my pinky up while doing makeup. Now, for me, one of the most important things about my foundation step is to get the ears. My ears are always on show. Now, that's not going to be the case for everyone. It's not going to be the case for every model that you do makeup on. But if it is on show, please don't forget to cover the ears as well. It doesn't have to be much. It just needs to tone down the redness that you might have going on. And since I get slightly nervous for doing things online, then I get red ear tips. All right. Now, I'm not going to do the eye area because we are going to do something so fun today, and I want that product to be shown all in its glory. I do not use a primer or toner before foundation because I am really extremely dry. So that means that my foundation usually doesn't go anywhere, but it does dry me out throughout the day. So for me, moisture is everything. My makeup doesn't run all over the place. So keeping everything healthy and moisturized is for me a go-to thing. So no primer. Yeah. All right, let's get on with the next product. One of my go-to concealers. It's the Pro Longwear Concealer, and I'm going to use it. This is the NC, is that correct? Yeah, NC25. So let me just grab one of my go-to brushes as well. This is the 240S by MAC Cosmetics. Obviously it's MAC Cosmetics, I mean, come on. All right, so I'm just blending it out over the palm of my hand, just to make sure that I get everything distributed over the bristles. And then I just start fluffing the concealer all over the areas where I feel like I need a little bit more coverage. So yeah, you can see it's nicely saturated. And then I just go into the areas that bother me the most at first with a concealer that is mainly, that is a good match for my skin tone. Not too light, but I do have a lighter shade here on my desk to make sure that I can highlight certain areas. So I'm going to show you what some of my favorite tricks are to shape the face without actually going into a contour shade. Just want to make sure that I get rid of all of the redness. Don't forget about the nose ridges, sometimes tip of the nose, especially if you are shooting outside. Don't forget about the tip of the nose because that tends to get red really, really quickly. And I am going to cover up the brow bone, but I'm mainly just focusing on the areas that need a bit more coverage, that are slightly more red. And obviously those two little pimples on my forehead. Sometimes the jawline, especially if the blood flow is right or if it's hot somewhere, then the jawline will show your blood flow a little bit better than other areas. But it is kind of like Photoshop in real life. You know, the healing brush tool, or when you go in with a, how do you call it? Oh yeah, so one thing that image retouchers use is a thing called dodge and burn. And that is nothing more than just pushing back areas by making them darker, and by making some areas a little bit more light, it will optically move forward. And that is how they shape the face and get rid of some of those really tricky areas like the under eye area, because we all have a few ridges under our eyes. But yeah, I like to look at makeup like it's Photoshop. It's one of my favorite things to do, is see how someone retouches a photo. I could look at that for hours. And I truly believe that if I wasn't a makeup artist, then I would have been a retoucher, because it's something so soothing to do. All right, don't forget about these hollows, because they will showcase how tired you are from a good week. I'm going to go in with a tinier brush real quick. This is the 224S, and I'm just going to make sure that I tackle those pimples. All right, then the second thing I'm going to do is go in with another shade of the Pro Longwear Concealer. And that is something I really, really love to do. And this is what I was talking about just now. It's Photoshop for your face. So we're going to add a few light areas to make sure that they optically move forward. And then when we get to the powder step, this is going to transform your face. So I've got quite deep under eye ridges, and one of them actually goes all the way down to here, which is a bit annoying, especially if you are doing makeup and you can't seem to get rid of that ridge. You go in with your lighter shade of concealer, and we are going to apply it right in that hollow. So you can see exactly where that hollow is. And what we do is just tap that lighter shade right in that crease. And you want to be precise with this, because if you are not precise and you just blend it out, there's no use in doing it. But I hope you guys can see the magic of this trick on camera, because this is something that has completely changed my life when it comes to the under eye area or shaping the face. Because I'm not really that much of a fan of contouring, but this non-touring trick is something I gravitate towards each and every day. If you have any questions, by the way, please pop them in, and I'll make sure to try to answer each and every question. All right. So do you guys see how much of a difference that makes? I have gone a little bit too far with this one. And now you can do this with each shadowy place that you might have. So for me, I smile a lot, which means that I've got a few shadows right here, and then right here. Now I know it looks quite obvious when you just apply it, but then when we get to the powder step, then you'll get why. Now here as well, we tend to have, all of us, have a little bit of shadow right here. Especially if you are a talker like me, you tend to talk a lot, then it is possible that time has given you beautiful shadows underneath the outer corners of the mouth. Or if you used to be a little bit more full and you've lost a little bit of volume from your face, then this tends to happen as well. So every little area that you feel could use a little bit more light, those are the areas where you apply a bit of concealer, lighter concealer. If you are not wearing face and body, what would be your next foundation pick and why? It would probably be the full covering cream foundation, because it's just really easy to use on set, and it's really easy to depot, and you can put it in a palette, and it's easier to travel with because it's not a liquid, and it's just stunning. You can use it as a concealer and a foundation in one. If you sheer it out, you get kind of the same effect as with a face and body foundation, but it is creamier. So the risk of using a cream foundation is that it will move a bit quicker. But if it's for set purposes, then definitely beautiful. You always get that beautiful radiant skin. But my first love is going to be face and body. All right. Now, as you can see, I also have this little shadowy thing right next to my nose. Hi, cat. Happy to see you here. So this is going to help shape my nose a little bit without having to go in with a contour shade, but just by applying a little bit of light on those darker areas is going to help you shape your nose a little bit. Now, one of the areas I also love to do this is the outer corners of the eyes, to just give them a really slight lift. Now, if you don't have really high cheekbones, you can also pat a little bit right on here, because it's going to be way more effective than using a highlighter, for example. So yeah, I really like to do that. There. Now I still have that little shadow, so I'm going to tap a bit of light right on that shadowy area. Because we've also warmed it up with the foundation step, you can go in with a lighter concealer without it looking really grey. Alright, next up, I'm going to press a bit of the blot powder into the under eye area, because we've just applied concealer, so I really want to make sure that I set that area really, really nicely. So I'm going to go in with this beauty. This is the blot powder, one of my absolute favorites for set purposes, and I am using it in light for the under eye area, because you can use different shades for your face, so you don't have to use just one shade to powder off the entire face. So I'm going to go in with a bit of the light blot powder just to set everything in place for the under eye area, and I'm going to press it into all of the areas where we applied a bit of that lighter shade of concealer. Now, I love using a powder puff, because that way you can use a bit of pressure just to make sure that everything stays in place really, really well. I am so grateful for Louise, everyone, because she is mentioning all of the products on point. But do you see how smooth that under eye actually looks if I look straight at you? Now, obviously, with horrible lighting, you're going to see it anyway. You see, if I do this, then you will definitely see the under eye area. But if I just look at you straight and it's looking good, I'm really, really happy. I have not experienced any flashback with blot powder. It really is my go-to powder for set. There is a slight tint in there, so it will kind of smooth everything out. But no, I haven't experienced any flashback at all. And I use it a lot. Oh, that went my powder puff. So I'm also going to press some powder into the center of the forehead, but I'm going to leave the outer perimeters nice and glowy and shiny, because we can use it there. Because I'm not doing anything else on the jawline, just going to press it in there. And one of those areas that you don't want to forget, because this will accentuate any fine lines if you've got some, is right in that outer corner where we also applied a bit of that lighter shade. There we go. Now it will give you this slight lift on the eye area, which I love. You know, I don't want to fool anyone with my makeup, but I do want to make the best version of myself, or the best version of my model for that day. So yeah. All right, now let's continue. Fun is about to begin. Wait, no, before we continue, I am going to shape the face just a tiny bit, because it is looking slightly pancakey. I've got the beautiful 168S, a nice small brush, and I'm going to go into the Studio Fix Sculpt and Shape Contour Palette just to get a little bit of shape in the outer corners. Is there a way to diffuse the appearance of eye bags? Do you mean the puffy ones? Let me know. Okay, I'm going into the middle bottom shade, which is called Sculpt. I was looking at the wrong end of this palette. I'm just going to lightly apply a little bit of shape. Now, I don't want to contour, I don't want to accentuate too much, but it is preferable that your face looks like an actual face and not something flat, white and round. There. Then a tiny hint around the forehead. Now, I have a quite balanced face. If you look at the 3 zones, then I look quite balanced, so I don't want to overdo it. I just want to make sure that it's not a white blob. Okay, so puffy ones, I think that is definitely... You don't have puffy eyes. Okay, so I'm biased because Kat and I talk to each other on Instagram quite a lot, and she does not have puffy eyes. I am not even going to respond to you. Oh my god. Oh wait, someone else actually asked that. Okay, so if you have puffy under eye bags, then chances are there is a shadow line underneath the puffiness. Apply a bit of the lighter shade of concealer underneath that puffiness and make sure that that little shadowy ridge comes forward, and I think that will diffuse a lot of what you have. It is really just a question of shaping everything that is shadowy. We don't like shadows in our face, not in the wrong places in any case, but any place where you have a shadow that you really don't want, place a bit of that lighter shade of concealer. Now, the worst thing you could do is follow an Instagram girl and do the full triangle of concealer, because trust me, it's not going to be flattering on anyone. Just go in and make sure that you cover the blueness with a warmer shade of concealer and then go in with a lighter shade of concealer to get rid of any of those shadows. And that will help you create a more diffuse kind of look. You know, iron everything out a little bit more. And it's also a bit of facial massage, because it could be that you're retaining water in your face. So you know, you could do the frozen spoon trick, but I find that doing a little bit of face massage is really helpful to get rid of any puffiness. Because trust me, I wake up puffy as well. Okay, yes, I am going to continue to the fun stuff. So, oh, whoops, I think something is wrong. Are you still seeing me? I'm getting an error. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to find out if the error is actually continuing. Let me see if everything is okay. It's still getting internet. Yes, it is. Let me feel my camera. No, that should be all right. I'm so sorry for the little bit of delay. I am going to try to continue and see if I can get everything in order again. I'm so sorry for the frozen part of this. Now, let me show you what we are using for the eye area. So I am going in with the Technical in Purple Dash. There we go. I'm so happy it's back on. Thank you so much for your patience. Okay, so we are going in with the Technical pencil. I'm going to zoom you in just so that you can see everything a little bit better. I'm going to grab onto my little mirror just so that I can see everything. I hope it's doing all right now. Okay, let's continue. I apply this Technical pencil all over the lid. So I'm going to do a purpley plummy kind of eyeshadow. I'm going to do a smoky eye, and I have chosen to not go fog today. you fixed the audio thing while showing. Yes, I did. Oh, it is very difficult to keep an eye on all of the messages. I'm glad we're back though. Okay, so we are going back in. I am going to apply kohl pencil all over the lid and make sure that it is nicely saturated. Yes, thank you, Louise, for telling me. It is the Purple Dash Technical pencil. Now, I like to work one eye at a time just to make sure that I have enough time to blend everything out. There we go. All right, now I'm going in with a flat eyeshadow brush, and this is the 239S, and I'm going to make downward motions with my pencil. I'm breaking up again. Really happy. Okay, so I'm going to add a bit of kohl pencil to this because I was supposed to blend this out, but then we broke up again. So I'm going to add a bit of that pencil on top of the first layer. I'm not doing anything new yet. I'm giving everyone a little bit of time to pop on back in, but I am going to try to blend this out because it does set. Okay, apparently some people haven't received the link. No, I need to send this email. Loving everything. Okay, send that to Jake. Send. Okay, hopefully everyone's back in. So I've added a little bit of the kohl pencil on top of the first layer. And I'm just blending it out with a flat eyeshadow brush. And this is also something I was taught during makeup school, and I swore to, well, I can't swear to God, but I swore that I would never, ever, ever use this technique again. I absolutely hated it. I couldn't get it right any time I tried. And now, for whatever reason, it's the one technique that I keep coming back to. Because it's the easiest, it's the perfect way to build a shape, and it's the perfect way to use your products the way you should. And I love the technical because it doesn't set straight away, but it does set quite quickly. And that will give you a perfect base to place your eyeshadow on top over. Now we are here for a new release, and I cannot wait to show it to you. So let me build my shape for a little bit more. And this is just the pigmentation base for the eyeshadow to go on top of. So I'm going to blend it out using the 217S, just to make sure that all of the outer edges are nice and smooth and diffused. And just make sure that that looks nice and neat, without losing the intensity on the moving lid. Again, if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat box. I can answer for you. And we can forget about that technical snag real quick. Alright, going back in with my flat eyeshadow brush. This will hopefully give the MAC team a little bit of time to get all of this links sorted as well. And there. Let's give that a little bit more of a sharp edge. So I tried to follow the lower lash line. Got a little hair there. And I am going to give that a bit more shape and a bit more intensity in the outer corners. Thank you, Louise, for rejoining. There we go. Okay, now that Louise is here, I am confident that we can continue with the rest of this YouTube live session. All right, I've got such an amazing release that I want to tell you guys about, and I am so, so proud that I am one of the first people that can actually try this out. So we've got a brand new product. Let me show you the Powder Kiss Soft Matte Eyeshadow. I am so, so excited about this product. It's such a velvety, matte texture. It's so blendable. It's so beautiful. All right, let's get back into it. So I'm going to use that same flat eyeshadow blender just to pick up a little bit of product, and I'm going to dab it all over the lid and press it into that kohl pencil. And it's really pigmented, because when they said Powder Kiss, I figured, you know, it would be a bit more like the lipstick versions, which is pigmented but not a fully opaque lipstick. And this does seem to give a really, really beautiful, intense shadow, which I'm really, really excited about. So I'm just picking up the product, pressing it into that entire lid, making sure it is as opaque as it can be. And you know, I love myself an intense eyeshadow moment. There we go. You see how graphic you can actually make it, and this is a eyeshadow. I love that. I'm just going to press it onto the other side as well. Hi guys! Thank you so much for rejoining. I think my phone didn't want to give me internet for a little bit. But I am happy that we're all back, that we can continue with the masterclass. It always feels a little bit different, a little bit weird when someone says it's a masterclass with me, because I always feel like I started out yesterday, and it just feels weird that I'm the one teaching a masterclass while I still feel like I'm the one who should be attending masterclasses. But I think that's just an artist thing where you never, ever, ever stop learning new things. Okay, so because I do have a slight crease going down, it is slightly hidden and slightly goes down. I like to just pack on my eyeshadow right over that little Humpty Bumpty Dump and make sure that it gives a really nice lift when you have your eyes open. So I have to take the right side, left for you. I have to take it up a notch. Okay, I am going to show the product again because I feel like a few more people are hopping back in. So let me show you the product again. This is a brand new release. Well, it's actually not even out yet. It is the Lens Blur. That's the color. Powder Kiss Soft Matte Eyeshadow. And the color is Lens Blur. So I am really, really excited that I am one of the first people that can actually use this product. So I'm going to go back in. The product we used before, I mentioned it before in the previous live, was the Technical Pencil in Purple Dash. Now I'm gonna grab onto the 221S and I am going to blend out that top edge. I don't have to take it far because we have multiple shades of this. but I am going to make sure that it is a nicely diffused top line so that we can blend another color into this harsher edge. But I believe in placing intensity where you want the intensity to be, and then just going into the outer edges to diffuse everything nicely. In August, okay, so it will be available in the US in August. I thought it was going to be later, but maybe that's for Europe. Now, I've forgotten to pack on a bit more color right in this hollow. So I haven't actually grabbed onto any new product. I'm just going back in with that flat eyeshadow brush and make sure that I've got the shape right. And it does tend to help to lift your eyebrows once in a while, just to pull the skin tight and make sure that it is symmetrical when you have your eyes open and relaxed. Okay. Now, the next color I'm going to go in with, I don't have a B-roll of that because I just decided that I wanted to use it. This is Ripened, which is so beautiful. It is kind of mauvey. I'm going to use this to create a beautiful transition right along the top lid. And I'm still using the 221S. Now remember, we haven't actually powdered off the entire eyelid. We have gone in straight with the eyeshadow pencil. So this is actually still the Pro Longwear Conceal, and I haven't put any powder on top of this yet. So do you see how beautiful it blends into that concealer? That's good. Just one of those really, really nice products that is perfect to blow anything out of proportion. Let me see, would you change your technique for someone who has hooded lids? Okay, so one of the things that I love to do with hooded eyelids is try to work along with it. So the one thing that will always be an issue with hooded lids is that you will get a gap somewhere in between. So since I really like bold eye looks, I tend to take everything over the crease anyway. So I think my looks usually tend to work really, really well for people who have hooded lids. Even if you do like graphic eyeliners, you can just use that crease to your advantage and make it into something really special instead of being super concerned about your crease and how hooded it is and how nothing is working for you. Anyone that tells anyone that you can't do something because it's a hooded lid, I want to flip them off, but I can't because we are decent people and it is a YouTube live session. You know, I am Dutch, so I usually have a tendency to swear a lot, and obviously I can't do that right now, so I'm kind of biting my tongue. Okay, so I'm going back in with the 217S, which I just used for a little bit of, I don't even remember what I used it for, to blend out the outer edges of the core pencil. So there's not really product on here, but I like to go in with a clean brush, or a semi-clean brush, just to blend everything out even more. Now the next color that I am going to use is a beautiful nudish, bonish shade, and this is called Best of Me. And I'm going to use that all over the brow bone, just to make sure that I get everything nicely diffused. And I'm going to stick to that 217 brush, just to make sure that we get it all nice and matte and diffused. I do have a potty mouth. I'll be the first to admit it. But I shouldn't have. I should be a nice, decent, respectable girl doing makeup. Okay, so I have this little dip here that I'm not liking. So I'm going to go back in with that mauvey shade and get a little bit more shadow right there. And then one of the things that I'm also seeing is that this side is not as pointy as the other one is. So I might go in later on with a Q-tip and just buffing some of that away. But for now, I'm just going to keep blending. How are we liking it so far? Beneath the brow bone, we've got... Oh, I'm such a clumsy. Beneath the brow bone, we've got this beautiful shade called Best of Me. I'll show you the close-up of it again. There you go. And it is a really nice bony shade. So I feel like it's the perfect one to create a good transition right here along that top line. Now, obviously, we still have to focus on the lower lash line. So let me get to that real quick. Because I have slightly smaller eyes, I like to skip the waterline and just go into that lash line right there. And buff the color in nicely. And then one of the things that will make a smoky eye a little bit more fierce is if you color in the inner corner of the eye a bit more and make it point a bit more downwards. So instead of this little bump here, you can create a straight line from here. Don't worry, we're going to blend that out. And then connect it to the top part as well. Now let me go in with that little flat eyeshadow blender. I've also always got some makeup brush cleanser on my desk because I tend to go in with the same brush. You know, artistry is definitely not about having loads of tools. It is about what you do with the tools that you have. I'm going to blend that out really nicely. I'm going to go in with a little detailer brush real quick. I don't have one by MAC at the moment, so I'm just going to use something else. I'm going to make sure that that shape connects nicely. Then go back in with that first shade, Lens Blur, and pack on that color opaquely. You don't need water to do makeup, cat. There you go. And I'm going to make sure that it is nicely connected to the top part of that eyeshadow. And I always feel like the moment I get my lower lash line done and I connect the two together, that is the moment where you actually get to see what the eyeshadow is doing to your gaze. See, on this side, it still looks kind of cutesy. And then on this side, it's starting to look quite fierce. So I'm going to do the other side as well. And see how I'm just pulling that through instead of really following it. And then I can fill it in where I missed that little bump. Make it go through until there. Back in with that flat shader. Make this a bit more pointy while we are here. And then I'm going to go back in with that little detailer brush and just pack on that Powder Kiss shadow to get the intensity that we want on the lower lash line. pull it all the way through. And make sure that it is also nice and intense on the inner corner of the top lid. See, because now there's like a little gap. Always try to keep in mind what kind of pose or kind of attitude the model is going to have. And if she's going to be like that, and she's got that little Humpty Dumpty there, it's going to be such a shame of your artistry. Because 9 times out of 10, the retoucher won't see it or won't realize that it's a mistake. So always make sure you keep an eye on the screen. Make sure that you know what the photographer is doing. Okay, now I'm going back in with the 221S, the one I used for that mauve shade. And I'm just going to blend out that lower lash line. And it is okay to go low because we've already gotten rid of our under eye ridges. So you have the opportunity, you have the freedom to blow it out of proportion just a bit more. And I like to flick out the ends so that it kind of disappears into nothing. Like it's magic. For me, makeup really is magic. It's my joy, it's my everything. Just making sure that it connects nicely. And see here. Now let me zoom you out a little bit. So one of the things that I really like to do when I do makeup is take a little bit of distance and see what happens if she's at a distance. What does that do? Now I can clearly see that this is connected a little bit better. This is just a little bit more angular. So what I want to do to get the two to match together is get a little bit more intensity on the lower lash line and round out this shape a little bit more, just so that it matches together. So yeah, there we go. Let me go a little lower with this one, especially in this area. And then also right here. That is what is coming away from the other side. You know, I always feel if you're going to go in with color, do it right. Do it intense, do it visibly, or don't do it at all. There we go. All right, I think it's time for mascara. The one last thing that I want to check before I go on to the next product is to make sure that there's nothing skin-wise hiding between my lashes. I'm going to go in with the black core pencil, I think. So I've got the Technical pencil in black, just to make sure that the lash line really gets the attention that you want it to get. So let's go back in. Now what I love to do is just lift up the lid. Now, do you see that little white line coming in here? I kind of want to press that Technical pencil right into that area, because it's the part where you don't sometimes realize that you're missing something, but you can clearly see it now, that there is a little bit of skin hiding right in between your lashes. And it will give you such an intense gaze, so much more intense if you fill those in than if you forget about it. So lift up the lid and just make sure you go in there. Also, you can definitely tight line the top lash line, but for me it's just enough to do this. I'm going to curl my lashes. I've got this really nice and cute, teeny tiny lash curler. So you kind of grab onto certain areas of your lashes. And I love that this gives me the opportunity of going into the inner corners really, really well and give all of the lashes a good direction instead of trying to get everything in the right place. This is also by MAC. Thank you. Half Lash Curler. So this is one of my favorite things, especially on set. I need it in my life. Okay, then we are going in with the next product. We are going to use the In Extreme Dimension Mascara. And also one of my favorites because I really, really love the applicator of this. And you are able to really comb out the lashes, but also pack on volume. So yeah. I like to usually go in with a general first layer and make sure that I can pack on the product. But one of the things that is one of my all-time issues is that I've got really straight lashes, and those straight lashes tend to sag if there's too much product on there. So I tend to go in with a general first layer, hop on over to the other eye, and give it a moment to dry out a bit. And then when it's halfway dry, same with blow drying your hair, not that I have any experience with that, but if you are blow drying your hair, you usually go into 85% dry hair, and then you go back in to give it shape or volume. So that's exactly what I do with my eyelashes. Now, I've poked myself on the skin just now. No worries about that. I've got a neat little trick that will solve that for you really, really quickly. Now, you know what? Let's give this a moment to dry a bit, and we'll play with blush in the meantime. Okay, I've got the incredible Glow Plate blushes. So let me show you a close-up of this. This color in the close-up is called Groovy, and the color that I am going to be using is Heat Index. And I think this would pair so well with my outfit and with my eyeshadow. No, I'm definitely not from Brooklyn. Why? Now I'm wondering if I did something good or wrong. So yeah, I'm going to use the 133S. I am a big fan of small brushes. I think those of you who follow me on Instagram already know this. But I am a really big fan of smaller brushes. Now this formula is such a weird one because if you put your fingers over it, it feels kind of bouncy. I can actually press my finger into this formula and it feels kind of creamy. But then the moment you blend it onto the skin, it turns to a powdery kind of texture. So yeah, let me go in. And I think I'm just going to place this blush quite high. Now also, we haven't powdered off this area at all. We've left this open. So we have powdered off the T-zone area of the face. I'm going to go in with that color and just place it kind of right against that eyeshadow. And I love high blush. It will forever be one of my favorite things to do. So I'm just packing on the color slowly because I don't want to overdo it too quick. And then just blend out the outer edges again. So for me, it's definitely playtime between intensity and then feathering the rest out. So I think it could be quite intense right along the eyeshadow. What do we think? I think the blush placement is something super 80s. And obviously when you are working editorially, then you do play around with different time stamps, different eras, different decades. So one of the things that I remember from doing makeup school is that if you learn about the decades, you learn so much about the history of makeup, and it also opens your eyes to all of the possibilities that are out there. And I think that's so much fun. And the bigger your knowledge bank is, the bigger your image bank is, the better you will be able to think on your feet, on set, or wherever you are. Because I didn't really plan this out. I just thought, a high blush could be really, really nice with this one. So yeah, I'm slowly blending everything out so that it transitions into the face and body really, really nicely. And then I use a very light hand to go into the areas where I've already placed a little bit of powder. Because if you have placed your powder in some areas and you go over it with something that could potentially be slightly creamy, you do have the risk of ruining whatever is under there. So always tread carefully when you're doing this. I'm not done with blush yet, but I do want to go back in with the mascara just to make sure that everything is lifted and upwards. So it is, yeah, I left it for a little bit too long, but most of it is still movable. I do this because this gives me the opportunity of giving the lashes that final push upwards, whilst otherwise they might dry downwards, and that's never a good look. Not for me anyway. So especially if this formula is slightly more dry, I tend to close my eyes just to get a little bit more grip onto the lashes. And make sure that is nice and lifted. There. There we go. Okay, I'm going back to the blushes because I love the blushes. I'm going to go in with that groovy shade. I think that was really, really nice. No, not completely dry. I'm just saying that if you use mascara and your lashes tend to sag after application, before they are dry, it might be a good idea to start with a light first layer, give that a little bit of time to become tacky, and then when the formula is already a little bit more dry, you can give them a final push upwards so that everything is nice and curled up. And then because the formula is a little bit more dry, it will stay upwards, and anything you put over it, this will keep them upwards at all times. Trust me, it has never failed me before. Okay, so I'm just wiping off my brush on a towel because I don't feel like I need a thorough cleanse for this. I just want to make sure that most of that product is off of the brush. Okay, I'm going to place that groovy shade just a little bit more forward and give it a slight transition into the foundation. And again, it's a really light hand that I'm using. I'm not going in thoroughly or putting too much pressure on it because that can definitely ruin the rest of the makeup. So I'm just blending in really, really gently, and I'm also going to be placing a little bit on the top part of that blush because now it's like a straight line, and I want that to be nicely diffused as well. And you know what? I also have one of the Powder Kiss. And let me see. I'm gonna give my brush a little wipe. I'm just going as I want to go. So I'm going to tap once, see how far that gets me. And just place a little bit of matte intensity right along that line. I think that is a really good idea. These could be really, really effective as blushes. Because let's be honest, who of us actually uses the products only for the areas that it's meant to be for? I know I don't. There we go. Look how beautifully that Glow Plate blush is peeking through. Okay, so the color that I was using to intensify the blush area a bit is called Fall in Love, and that was this shade. And I thought it was so close to the blush colors that I just wanted to put a little extra on. All right, we are continuing to lips. So let me show you. I've got 4 lipsticks on my desk here. So let's start. We've got a few Powder Kiss lipsticks. I'm going to choose 1 out of 4. I think I know which one, but these are the 4 choices. So we've got My Tweedy, which is really beautiful and nude. And we've got Impulsive, which is a teeny tiny bit darker. And then, let me see, we've got Scattering Petals, which could be a really good option. But then you've also got Sultry, oh, did I forget the name? No, Sultry Move. And I think this for me is the one to use. What do you guys think? I know, hard choices at all stages. I mean, I've got a box with 12 different shades of Powder Kiss eyeshadows, and my heart was just thumping so much, and I didn't know which one to choose. But for the lipstick, I think it should be Sultry Move. Yes, I love that you guys are agreeing with me. So I'm going to pack this on fully. All right, so, yeah, that's a good choice. It's just so complimentary. Ooh, Scattered Petals with Spice Lip Pencil. That could also be a really nice combination. But I really want to try this out. I've been wanting to dip my fingers in this, but I haven't been able to because I wanted to keep it pretty for this live session. But see how beautiful that matches to the rest of... Okay, yeah, let's just go in. Happy girl right here. Okay, now, for me, the Powder Kiss lipstick is the absolute perfect lipstick to do one of my favorite things. Okay, I'm going to cleanse this brush again. You see how often I use a flat eyeshadow blender is ridiculous. But it is good for so many different purposes. So just to remind you all, is this 239S. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to blur out the outer corners, the outer perimeters of this lipstick. And it's, you don't have to be gentle about this. This is just buffing everything out. And this will create such a beautiful large pout that you don't have to worry about lip pencil or overlining something or keeping it really neat. This is like perfect date night lipstick as well, because once you kiss him, it will slowly fade away over his face. Okay. I want a little bit of extra lipstick. Which one was it? There it is. I want a little bit extra right here. And then I'll just, flipping you off. Just gonna blend it out with my fingers. Let me give a little extra right here. And it just creates this little fluffy perimeter around your lips, which will create a really, really nice large pout without being, let's not name names, but being too obvious about it. And being, oh, I overlined my lips and I want everything to look 3 times the size of my normal lips. I think this is a much more gentle way of going about it. Alright, now one of the tricks that you need to keep in mind, because this technique and blending it out with your fingers, I'll just accentuate it a little bit more, it can take out your lipstick a little too much. and that way you will look like a bit of a clown. So for example, here it's gone down way too much, here as well, and then right here. So that's something you really don't want to do. But the good thing is that it's so easily solved because this formula is really nice and gentle. So I go in with a smaller brush and a little bit of concealer, and then I clean up the outer edges until you get that perfect shade you want. So I'm just going in with the Pro Conceal in the NC25 shade. I left a little bit on my desk. So see, here it's too round. You can clean it up nicely right there. And then also, don't forget, powder this off. And then you'll get this really nice, full, rounded out pout that is complementary to the rest of your makeup without being so overdone. All right, now I'm going to be using a little bit of setting spray to get everything blending in together. So I've got the Fix Plus Magic Radiance, which has vitamin C in it, and I am such a huge fan of vitamin C because it brightens up your skin. It's an antioxidant. This one is really hydrating, so for me, someone with really dry skin, this is a go-to. And I've just kind of focused on the outer perimeters of the face. There you go. Okay, and then one of the things I also always love to do, so Melanie is asking about this, is if I am going to be blending out these lines right here and the light lines. So this is probably because it is warm in the studio, so it is blending together a little bit. So this is one of those travel brushes from MAC that I got in my kit like a long time ago. And I like to go in with a really, really large brush just to give everything a final blend, especially for the skin area, because sometimes when you start applying something it seems really good, and then afterwards, especially after setting someone with a setting spray, you might think, ooh, it might be a little bit too much there, or it's not blending in fully. And then especially for me, I do tend to get a little bit warm around the center of my face, because that just happens. It's really hot in this studio. So I go back in with the blot powder. Now put it on my desk somewhere. And just powder this off one last time. There we go. Now to keep my skin nice and glowy throughout the day, I'm going in with the Strobe Cream in Gold Light. I'm just going to be placing a little bit on the top of my hand, back of my hand. I'm just going to rub it between two fingers. And then tap it onto the outer perimeters. Now you don't want to drag anything with these creamy products, so you just want to tap it over the areas where you want some extra glow. I like to do this area right here, because this temple, if you give it a little bit of light, it will lift up that eye area and give you a really nice lifted look. And then whatever is left on my fingers, I tap it over the nose, over the chin. Now, if you are really textured in this area, don't take it there. But if you're not, you can take it onto the apples of the cheek, just so that every time you smile, everything lights up. There we go. This was it. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of time to answer any questions. If you want to ask me anything. Luckily, the connection stayed right this time. So if you have any questions, please pop them in now. And then I'll be able to answer anything you want. Kat, I'm not answering that. You're gonna make my ego grow a little too much. The 3 lip colors. Okay, that's a question that I can answer actually. Okay, so let's go back to the close-ups. This was my Tweedy. This was the lightest one we got. Then we've got Impulsive, which is slightly darker, but also still a very, very warm shade. Then we've got Scattering Petals, which is a lot more pinky. And then we've got Sultry Move. That's the lipstick that I used for this look today. I really hope that answers your question right. I'm so proud of my B-roll. Kiss back to Brazil. Do you think setting spray is necessary for everyone? Any info on setting spray would be nice. I don't have any. Okay, so Isabel, setting spray to me is the thing that merges all of your different textures together. So if you've used foundation, concealer, powder in places, but glow in other places, setting spray is the thing that will make all of those different layers melt together really, really beautifully. Now, if you tend to be really oily, you can go for the Matte Fix Plus, which is also really, really nice. You can go for a fixing spray that actually puts everything into place like a hairspray. And for those of you who are really dry like me, it is a really good way to refresh your makeup. Because if you are really dry, then makeup can start to look a little bit dull. And if you want that radiance back into your skin, you can use a setting spray. Hi Milan Institute Phase 2 COS. I hope that was right. I also really like the 4th one and that's why I put it on. Can you mention some of the products that you've used? Of course I can. Alright, so let's get started. I can use my B-roll again. So for face, we started with the Face and Body Foundation and I used the color C3. Then I went back in with the MAC Pro Longwear Conceal and I used NC25 and NC20. Now I used 2 different colors to hide and highlight. Then we went in with blotting powder, blot powder in light to set everything into place. Next up, we went to the eye area and we used the Technical Pencil in Purple Dash. Then we used the new, ultra new Powder Kiss eyeshadows in Lens Blur. That was the first shade. Then we went in with this beauty of a shade, which is called Ripened. Then we went into that bone color, this color, which was really, really beautiful to blend out into the brow bone. Then, let me see, I think I went in with the black Technical Pencil to make sure that everything in the lash line was nicely saturated. Then we went in with the In Extreme Dimension mascara with a really nice prickly brush. And then let me see, what did we do then? Then we went in with all of the lipsticks that I just showed. So I don't think we need to do a repeat on that again. Do we? Let me know. Okay, let me see. Did I... Louise is also mentioning all of the products. Louise is the hero of the day. What amount of foundation did you use? Well, I feel like with the face and body, you tend to go in with a little more than you think you need. And obviously, if you are using a brush like the one I used, Where did I leave that? Okay, yeah, here. I used 128. That will suck up a bit of product as well. So keep in mind that any applicator will suck up a bit of your product. But I think if you would need to measure it in pea sizes, I use about 2 or 3 pea sizes. But yeah, it's a buildable product. So it's so thin, it's so layery, watery, that you can layer on top of each other. And that way, it really depends on the coverage you want with your foundation to the extent of the amount of product that you will use. Let me see. What product would you have us show our students to correct the appearance of nose pores? Well, you kind of want to go in with a mattifying primer. As I'm not really a big primer user, I don't really have the names in mind, but perhaps Louise can recommend you a really good matte pore filling primer. Is there a DIY primer? Or would you say definitely buy one? Difficult question for me to answer. I really firmly believe in skincare. Skincare is the first step into makeup. Now, I also want to say something that is bothering me with the pore questions, because for some reason, I think because of social media, we have been brainwashed to think that pores are something bad. And I don't know who told you this or what made you think of this, but pores are the reason your skin is alive. It's the reason why your skin can breathe. It's the reason why it stays beautiful. And all we want to do, apparently, is fill every little pore we've got with a primer, with something else to make it look invisible. Me, personally, I feel like that really isn't necessary. I think it would be a much better idea to invest in good skincare, to exfoliate your skin on a regular basis and keep it clean. If you are a makeup wearer, keep your skin clean. Each and every night, do a nice, really nice cleansing routine, and that will make sure that you get to the best version of you before you put makeup on. And you know what? Pores are part of that. Okay, I'm missing a lot. Your face gets really oily. Well, you can go in with a gel moisturizer to make sure that the oil production throughout the day doesn't intensify, and then go in with a blot powder, or maybe grab a blotting paper along the way just to make sure that you can get off the excess oil. And I get it. If your foundation tends to move all over the place, I get it that you want to use a primer just to keep it in its place. But I don't think we should use a primer to fill in all of the pores and make sure that it's so lifeless, maybe. Well, I shouldn't say lifeless, that could be mean. But I think we are so obsessed with perfection that we miss the point. I think that's more of the message I wanted to say. What kind of skin products do you recommend? I recommend to exfoliate on a regular basis. And you can do that by manually exfoliation, or you can do that by using different kind of acids. Now, you can use a salicylic acid if you're more oil prone and you have more maybe more blemishes in your skin. If you're more sensitive, you can look at a glycolic acid, and if you really can't take any acids at all, you can look into a manual exfoliation. The only thing I want to say for manual exfoliation is that there is a chance that you might go in a little bit too harshly. But it will give your skin that boost to regenerate and to create new cells and to keep refreshing and refreshing and refreshing. And it gives you this intense glow before you even put on makeup that will give you this really radiant, nice appearance. So I think exfoliation is key, and then make sure that your skin gets all of the nourishment that it needs. For me personally, that's really vitamin C and any antioxidant I can get my hand on. and a rich moisturizer. And if you've got different needs, you always need to talk to a skin specialist or someone who has a little bit more knowledge about skincare and looks at you from a personal point of view and not in a general direction. I think I could give general advice all day long, but if it will work for you, that's the question. So always make sure you get tailored advice. Okay, so if I were to use Neru, which is a blush grey colour from MAC, eyeshadow, which colour would I use on the cheeks for an editorial look similar to yours? The same? You can use anything. See, I do like a monochromatic moment that I've got going on right now, but I also love the combination of doing really intense blue eyeshadow with a red lipstick and then maybe even an orange blush and just go all the way out there. So it's really a personal preference. If you really just want to keep it beautiful, I would go a little softer with your blush and go for maybe something nice, nudie peachy maybe. Just to get a nice contrast between the blue and the warmth of the cheek. Let me see. My French woman turned me on to it. I think she's talking about... Oh, it's a pomade. Okay, I don't know what that is, but please inform me on Instagram. All right, so I think we are close to an end. I want to thank everyone so much for taking the time out of your day to join me for this live session. And I also want to thank you so much for dealing with the technical issues that we had halfway through and tuning into the new live session. So thank you so much for being here. If you still have any questions, I've got my handles right up there. If you have any questions for me personally, you can always send me a direct message on there. But for now, I want to say thank you very much. And I really hope I get the opportunity to do this again. Thank you very much. And I really hope you have a lovely evening or a lovely day. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks so much for watching.